The hidden truth: does China really own America's debt? And is the US economy in trouble? Today, we dive into a question that has sparked countless debates across the world. Does China really own America's debt? And another, even deeper question: is the United States facing an economic storm that could shake the global system? Stay tuned, because in this video, we're uncovering the real truth about the financial ties between two of the world's greatest powers, China and the United States. For years, you've probably heard people say things like, America is owned by China. China lent trillions to the US. But how true is that? The reality is, China does hold part of America's national debt, but not nearly as much as most people think. As of late 2024, China holds about $759 billion in US Treasury bonds. That sounds huge until you realize the total US debt has now surpassed $36 trillion. In other words, China only holds around 8% of America's foreign debt and an even smaller fraction of the total national debt. So what does this mean? It means the idea that China owns America is a myth. Most of America's debt is actually owned within the United States itself by US banks, investors, and government programs like Social Security. And here's another fact. Over the past few years, China has been reducing its holdings of US bonds. Why? Because Beijing is trying to diversify its reserves, investing more in gold, infrastructure, and partnerships with countries across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So no, America isn't controlled by China's debt. But that doesn't mean the US economy is safe. Let's talk about what's really worrying economists: America's own debt problem. The US government's debt is now larger than its entire economy, sitting at over 120% of GDP. If nothing changes, experts warn it could rise above 140% in the coming years. That means a massive portion of tax revenue goes toward paying interest on old loans, instead of improving roads, healthcare, or education. Meanwhile, inflation remains a major challenge. Food, fuel, and housing prices have all climbed since the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine. Even though the US economy is still growing, the cost of living is biting hard for ordinary Americans. There's also another issue: an aging population. More Americans are retiring, and fewer young people are entering the workforce. This could slow down economic growth and increase government spending on pensions and healthcare. And then there's political division. The US Congress often fights over raising the debt ceiling, turning financial management into a political battlefield. Every time that happens, global markets get nervous, and confidence in the US dollar shakes, even if only for a moment. So what does all of this mean for the world? Despite these challenges, the United States remains the world's largest economy, and the US dollar is still the global reserve currency. But if debt keeps rising and political division continues, experts warn that America's financial dominance could slowly weaken, opening the door for new economic powers like China, India, and the Gulf nations to rise. So, does China own America's debt? Yes, but only a small portion. Is America's economy in trouble? It's strong but facing serious long-term challenges. The balance of power is shifting, slowly but surely. And the next decade may determine whether the US can keep its global economic throne, or whether the world is entering a new era, one led by Asia.